What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I am Alex, and I am joined by a very, very special guest today. I'm actually very happy I had him on. He's been on before, Steven from Craven Something Scary. Amazing, amazing guy. We've had him on before in the live stream where we had a bunch of Scream content creators talking, which, by the way, I do want to do that again at some point in my life. But Steven, thank you so much for being here. We'll plug your stuff, but I just want to firstly, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. It's always a pleasure, man. I'm looking forward to it, and it's never a bad time when we're talking Scream, man. It's always a good time. So thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So, and I'm going to leave Steven's stuff in the description below if you guys want to check it out. I've actually done a video on his channel. Like I said, he's been on my channel before. So in terms of a live stream, so we have a connection. We've talked
Yes.
before, and I'm very excited to have this topic. So, Steven, I wanted to do, and we messaged behind the scenes. I wanted to talk a little bit about changing Scream 5. Obviously, not everybody, is fully into the movie all the way, but I've already kind of done it. But I thought, you know what, Amber, let's just do something on Amber, because Amber is such a polarizing character. You see some people maybe that absolutely love her as Ghostface, but doesn't love her as, her herself. You got and by the way, this will contain spoilers. It feels silly to even say that at this point in life, but, obviously you have her killing Dewey, which was the biggest thing. It's even, I think, spun, and this is actually where I want to start with you. This is something I made a video on. I think I know other people in the Scream community have. What do you think about people being kind of so anti her that they've not even convinced themselves, but they've brought up the idea of like 3 Ghostface killers in 5 to like kind of retcon her out of killing Dewey?
Wow, what a topic, and it is very polarizing, isn't it? Oh my gosh, I know what you're talking about because people seem to be all over the place with it, and it's for one thing you can say about Amber is she brings a lot of passion to the discussion. That's for sure among the fandom. So, okay. All right. So I would fall into myself. I'll start with myself. I fall into the category of I do believe there are 3 killers, but not because of Amber. Not really about her at all. I do believe there are 3. Now, when it comes to the hospital scene, that is one that I also, because of my theory, I guess I should tell you, maybe I should tell you my theory first. It would make more sense. So my theory is one that, again, this is a polarizing also. Some people love it, some people hate it, and that's fine. But my theory is that Stu Macher, yes, that's right, Stu Macher is involved. He's the mastermind, and I believe this is the long game for the trilogy. And again, I could be completely wrong, and I'll be the first to be like, hey, I was wrong, but I think this is what's going to happen. And at least that's what I wish would happen. So I think Stu's in the picture. I think there is evidence in Scream 5 that he's involved. And I've made a whole video on why he's the 3rd killer. And I've made a video on that. So I won't go into all that here, but that's something that I definitely have given a lot of thought to. And I believe that the hospital scene actually was not Amber, excuse me, not Amber, more not really as a thing against her as much as it is about my theory of Dewey, and that was the one kill that he wanted because he's finishing what he started, basically, because he tried to kill him in 96 and he thought he did, and he didn't obviously survive, which is great. But I believe that was him coming back when he says it's an honor. It's him saying it's like me finish, like it's an honor to finish this, like it's done. Finally, it's done, And then people always just say, well, why is Amber taking credit? And I'm not going to, Alex, don't worry. I won't turn this into a Stu video here. I know you're getting worried. I'm probably like, oh, no. But people, I have to just say, people do say, well, why did Amber take credit? If it's Stu, then she would, why? And it's real simple because he told her not to. If he's the mastermind of this, he's organized. He said, look, I'll get the satisfaction of killing her or killing him, but you'll get the glory for it. You'll get the recognition for it. And so, that's a simple response to that. He just told her, no, it's not the right time for me to be revealed. But so my theory, Alex, is that I think that's what happened. I think that Dewey was killed by a Stu in my theory. And so regarding Amber, though, I fall into that. I think it was the latter category when you did the intro, where I liked her as a killer, but I did not like her as a character. Yeah, that was kind of where I go on it. So and we go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I didn't want to just ramble on and on, but without stopping. But that for now I'll just say that I thought when they revealed it was her because we're talking spoilers obviously here, right? So when she pulls out the gun and shoots
Liv.
Thank
Little
you. I'm
whip.
totally blanked out. My
Well, she's
gosh.
only in it for 5 minutes. So
Facts. When she shoots Liv, I'm like, okay, now, and then she just turns into her whole bat, you know what, crazy mode, and I was all for it.
oh yeah.
But prior to that, Alex, dude, I did not. I found her very disinteresting, honestly, forgettable as a character prior to the reveal. That's how
Yeah.
I feel
Now,
about it.
and so I'll mention it a little, and I'll hand it over to you to talk about what you think. You know, we talked about the script, the first draft of the script that Amber, you know, I think she had a little bit more character building, a relation with her and Tara, I think was really going to help the character. But even
Yep.
that, I mean, obviously you would need to have kind of seen it on screen to see it play out, but I don't know how much that would have that would have helped. And it's weird because like when you go back, you know, every killer really has had a different presence on screen, like literally, like how much they're on screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Mickey, he wasn't really even like he had a couple of scenes, but he wasn't there all that much.
No.
Mrs. Loomis, she was hidden for pretty much the entire right. So
Yeah.
like it's weird because I think a lot of people, including myself, we kind of like bag on Amber for almost being the same. Like she's just not in it a whole amount. And so I guess I'm wondering from you, like, do you think, well, a couple different things. Do you think like having her on screen more would have helped? Do you think it's maybe unfair to, you know, bag on her when she's got similar screen time with some of the? Now I get like Jill and Charlie, they were in it quite a bit. Roman though really also wasn't all that much, and he was almost a completely different character. He was when he was just, you know, I mean, he's kind of like a whiny, you know, studio executive. So do you think it's unfair? Do you think, you know, I mean, everybody has the right to their own opinion. I think we're both pretty big advocates of that. But what do you think?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So my biggest thing with Amber personally was not about the screen time. I don't know, because my issue with her was her personality. It was the character. It was how she was written, right? And let me be clear. This is not a knock on Mikey Madison or Mickey Madison, however you pronounce it. I forget if it's Mikey or Mickey. But anyway, it's nothing about her as an actor. Okay, that I want to make sure this is not like a personal thing.
Yeah.
My issue is just as the character. We're talking about a character now, not a person. So for this character of Amber, I did not like her personality because she was always just angry and like snappy and just and just kind of like, dude, just relax, man. Just like, you know, it's gonna be okay, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, and like even Stu, like, and again, Stu is an iconic. Obviously, it's not really fair to compare anybody to Stu because those him and Billy are iconic, but still, even Stu as a killer, his personality, he was so, you know, charismatic. He was, you know, easygoing. He was having fun. He was cracking jokes, and
Oh yeah.
you know, he was likable. I guess that's the word. He was like, Amber's not a likable character in my book. I don't like her from the minute I see her. How she's even, you know, every time it's just very defensive. It's very aggressive. Now again, I know she's a killer. Obviously, that's probably a lot of that. But just because you're a psychopath doesn't mean you can't fake personality. I mean, you know, we've seen it, you know, and even Mickey had a decent personality. He wasn't like that, you know. Yeah. For a little time. And Roman, even when Roman was on screen, he was very friendly, very, you know, you would never guess it. And so my biggest issue was I don't think screen time would have helped for me because it just would have been the same character, but more of her, which I didn't like her. So it may have actually been more of a turnoff for her to me, even more than it is now, because more of it was not a good thing for me in this case. And it's just the writing, man. It's just how they wrote her to be. And so I was my biggest gripe with Amber. I just do not like her. She's like a dead fish, a wet fish. There's just no personality. There's nothing likable. There's no charisma. There's nothing except this kind of this angry, you know, person all the time. But again, it works when she's the killer. I love it. Like when she goes crazy, and if she showed more personality in that kitchen than she showed in the entire 3/4 of the movie. I mean, really, when she was like, "Yeah, babe," and she's, you know, she's all excited and she's. Anyway, I won't get too
you're
far
right.
ahead,
I mean, and that's an interesting thing because I again, like you, I loved her once it went to the third act when she announced, you know, where we were in the movie. I thought she was fantastic, and you know, you talking about, you know, their personalities got me thinking too. You know, like Stu, really the difference between Stu and I would argue probably Billy too, from when they're normal to when they're not, is not that it's a little bit more, but it's really not too much. Like they actually played it off really well where they just are these people, and then it's just a little bit of a more exaggerated version. There are some different, like Jill and Charlie obviously I think hit it extremely. But I guess my question to you leading into this, because I'll say my answer and then I want to hear yours. I actually think Amber may have worked better if she was that I mean, you have to tone it back a little bit, but the lunatic she was at the end, if that was just her default personality, which would be a lot
Yes.
like Stu,
Right.
I think that maybe would have helped her character throughout. So I guess to you, I mean, you're nodding. I assume you agree, but do you think that would have worked, or do you think? I mean, do you think they were maybe trying to do a Jill and Charlie again, where they were just trying to do such big contrasts between like when they're normal and because I think that's probably Richie, right? That's probably what they chose to do with Richie.
Yes, exactly. I think so. I think that's the case. And it's interesting though, because the Scream 5 is paying homage to Scream 1, right? More than any of those movies.
Yeah.
And yet the biggest dynamic between these two we don't see. We didn't see like billion, because you're right, man. If they would have made her act the way she did at the end, but dial it down a couple of notches, of course, right? Just a little bit. Leave the knife at home, you know. Don't bring the knife. But if she had been more like that, I would have really liked her. If she would have been very much more like Stu, and then and I think that would have been epic, man. Honestly, I would love to have seen her be that way. But I think you're right. Richie was the biggest change, you know, because whenever he comes down the stairs and they think he's going to get the gun to help, and he stabs Sam, then he turns into this very cold, manipulative.
And it's such a fast switch too, because he's even, I mean, he kind of has to play it still when he's going down the stairs, but maybe he doesn't, but he does it, you know, I mean, he does it anyway, where he's still into it. Even when Sam grabs the gun, doesn't he like cheer her on? Like, I thought that was awesome. You know, it's like he's going literally right until I mean, you can see the knife right before like the shot changes, but I love, he literally just switches on a dime. Whereas Amber is kind of even hidden, even at the very end with Tara, right before the Liv confrontation. I really think also that kind of hurts her, because again, you just don't. That maybe is an example of you just not seeing her. I think you need to see her during that little, you know, altercation.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree, man. I think just a little tweak like that would have made me look at Amber totally different.
Do you think her predictability as Ghostface hurt her?
I think so, because I mean, everybody for the minute the trailer came out, and man, I have to say, I've talked about this before. They did not need to put that burn scene in the trailer. I think that was a blunder. And as much as I praise the marketing team, and I think they did a great job. But man, the one thing, if there was one scene, there was really two scenes that should have never been in the trailer. I think you know what I'm talking about. One's the burn scene, and the second one was the stab of Sam coming down, stabbing Richie.
Right.
I'm like, why do you have like you have 2.5? Right. You got 2.5 hours of footage, and you edit in those two scenes. I'm like, really? So I believe that from the minute that trailer came out, all I was hearing, Alex, and I think you probably were too, was that Amber's a killer. Amber's a killer. Amber's a killer. Heck, I was even saying it's going to probably be Amber, but I was hoping it wasn't. In fact, just because I wanted to be wrong, you know, and I was like, no, that's
the thing too, is like I did the official predictions, and it was Amber and Richie, right? And I kind of did it, but even literally going into the movie, and you know, when it's playing, and I'm shaking a little because of how excited I am, and as the movie went on, I really tried to, in my mind, like let it play out and say, you know what, if it's not Richie, like I want it to not be Richie, but honestly, the entire time I never really had a doubt about Amber. With Richie, I was like, you know what, maybe they did a really good job of hiding it, and maybe it is some. Now, once they killed Wes, I really started to doubt it, and I was like, okay, it's probably Richie. But I was really just trying to give him the biggest benefit of the doubt possible. But the Amber one, I don't know if Liv was supposed to, like, it was Liv and Amber, and then Wes and Richie. Like, if that was kind of the duo that they were trying to, or I guess the two duos that they were trying to do. But the Liv one didn't work on me so much as the Wes one. But I don't know, because Wes didn't really work as a red herring in the movie. He worked more as a red herring in the marketing leading in.
Yes.
Liv was the one in the movie that they were trying to be like, it could be her.
Right.
Chad even, and then they completely dropped it. Although some people think Chad is the third killer, so maybe they did their work there. But, you know, Chad, they really didn't do enough, I think, to drive it off of specific, not even just Richie. They didn't do enough to drive it specifically off of Amber throughout the entire movie.
Absolutely, 100%. Liv was the one in my final predictions video. I had predicted it was going to be Richie and Liv were the killers, and that Judy Hicks was going to be the mastermind, which I thought
that'd been fun.
wouldn't that have been great? What a missed opportunity. I still say that's a missed opportunity, man. She was directly tied back to the original, just all kinds of stuff you could have done. But
Oh yeah.
it didn't happen, unfortunately. But yeah, I wanted Liv to be the killer. And the one thing about Liv I'll say too is that I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of the issue that people have with Dewey and Amber being, the whole thing is that Amber's too short. She's not the right stature. And Liv would have been perfect, man.
Yeah,
Liv was
a little bit
tall.
big, yeah.
She was, she definitely could have done that. But anyway, I was hoping it would be Liv just because I did not want it to be Amber, man. I just was like, please don't be the one who I'm just sure it is. I see her being burned in the kitchen. I can't, and again, maybe Ghostface set her on fire, maybe, and now it's going through all these theories like how
hallucination or,
exactly.
trying to, but, and I made a video. I don't think it hasn't gone up when we're recording this, but I even said in that video, like, when you have to make those, I'm not saying like we're wrong to do it. When you have to make those stretch arguments, right? Of like Amber on fire, and then people are like, well, yeah, maybe she was lit on fire, or it's a hallucination, or this. Whenever you have to make those stretch arguments, you're already kind of like playing from behind. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't that already mean it's too obvious? Now,
right.
We were all hoping we were wrong, and that they were doing it so obvious that it wasn't gonna,
absolutely.
So, and maybe, for 6, they've learned their lesson and they won't do that. But I think it does say something about the trailer and us, our expectations of Amber, when, if you have to make, or even with Sam stabbing Richie, when it's like, well, maybe she was hallucinating. When you have to make that stretch argument, it's already, it's already not a good thing.
It's not. No, you're already like, oh, dang it. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm going to hope I'm wrong. I mean, I hope so. Yeah, I just think, if you think about that trailer, man, think about if they had not put the burn scene in it, and that scene with Sam stabbing, it would have added so much more mystery. I mean, really, I think we would have been much more like shocked and surprised, at least going into the movie, maybe, right? And my hope was with Sam, where it came like, well, maybe Sam's the Ghostface killer. Maybe she's a killer, and I still think she could be a killer in 6. I'm not. I still.
Well, even if you just don't show Richie's hair, then it makes it look like, okay, Sam's unhinged.
Exactly.
If you don't show Amber on fire, you really had dual. I would say Amber had the picture of her with the light going down the basement that made her look sketchy, but Liv had the whole cutting the throat thing, which made so they actually, besides the trailer, the marketing, I would argue, for Liv and Amber were relatively equal in terms of driving doubt. So yeah, without the trailer, I think it would have been much more of a 50-50 coin flip of Amber or her. And then they try in the beginning with the phone and showing the recording of Amber, but it's like we know these movies, we're smart, like it doesn't mean she's out of the running.
No, not at all. I'm like, no, not buying that. No, because there's going to be at least 2, maybe 3.
And
it's like, that's not going to be it. And I mean, and you're right. I mean, that shot of Sam, if they wanted to show Sam stabbing, they could have easily cut right before Richie's hairline hits. I mean, just stop it just before, and we would not have known who she was stabbing. So there'd have been totally mystery. We don't know. I mean, we still wouldn't know if she was good or bad, and we wouldn't know who she's killing. So, I mean, I maybe they should call us next time to edit the trailer, Alex. I think you and I could nail it out of the park.
Yeah, we can give them some notes.
Yeah, give them some notes. I mean, because my trailer literally would just be Ghostface, couple of voices from Roger L. Jackson, some shots of like bam, 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 and the trailer's over. That's it. Yeah. It's a teaser.
I respected the longness of the Terra, because I thought, like, yes, we are seeing it, but I actually think the movie did a really good job of just like the more context just helped it, and that filled like 30 seconds of the trailer. So if you want a long trailer, because I agree. I mean, I do like the cut idea, but the cut idea is what led to this, right? Because then you'll get somebody on fire in one of those cuts.
Yes.
Like, dang it. But if you do a really long extended scene and you let that play out for your trailer, that just kills time. Honestly, it does. But you have to pick it very specifically. I don't know what other scene you would have been able to do besides that Terra, opening stuff. So where, we don't need to go through our Ghostface rankings. I'm sure we've both done some versions of that. But what would be kind of like your final thoughts, or like where would you put Amber in the like? What would you say about Amber?
Oh man, I mean,
Because I
Well,
don't put her dead last, but my rankings are like, to some people they're a joke, so that's okay. But I don't put Amber at the bottom. I don't,
right.
and I
Okay.
do it because I try to get like analytical with the phone calls and the kills. So I'm like pretending she is Roger, and I'm pretending she is in Ghostface. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give her credit
Got
for some
you.
of the kills, the
Okay.
phone. So so under your theory, it would be Stu. But if it
Right.
was Amber in the hospital, I love the phone to Sam.
Hmm.
I love that conversation and tipping
Hmm.
over Tara. So like I'm gonna give that to the character of Amber. You know what I mean? So that
Okay.
would raise her
That's
up.
that's fair. Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's stretching it because it's you know what I mean, because it is Roger's voice, but it's supposed to be you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. You're right. So I guess if we're gonna take it at actual like straight up face value only, like Amber is there, like Stu's not involved. If I was gonna take my theory and pause that and just say Amber is a Ghostface kid, was the one that killed Dewey and that whole thing. Yeah, I mean certainly, and honestly, the dialogue of Roger L. Jackson in this film I thought was one of it maybe my most favorite or close to my most favorite of the franchise.
Oh
I
yeah.
think so good, and
Yeah.
he's I mean he's great in every one, but it's just the way he did it. You know, the whole little the Judy and this little just little things that
Yeah.
like that's a little different. That's not
Yeah.
what we're used to hearing. And his opening with Tara, that whole Tara scene, dude, was as gold. I mean,
Yeah.
that is just
It was
so
about it was as close to mimicking one while being something new as like you
yes.
couldn't have done it any
Yep.
other, any better.
No, no, not at all. I agree. And so if I'm to believe Amber's on the phone with Tara, then that definitely earns her a lot more points for me. I mean, it does move her up.
Yeah.
So where do I rank her? Oh man, this is boy. Well, I can tell you my top three. I can start there.
Okay.
So all right, Billy, Stu, and Jill. Those are my three favorites. And then after that's where it starts getting dicey when we're talking
Yeah.
about Mickey and now Amber and then Roman and Angelina, because I believe that Angelina is the second killer in Scream 3. I'm a
Nice.
firm believer. So there's a lot of other people to pick from. So I think Amber is above Roman.
Yeah.
I think so. If we, in this scenario, right? So if because before I thought Stu was talking to Tara. In my theory, Stu talks to Tara, so it's a whole
I mean
different
that's
thing.
because that's a big, I mean that's a big swing. If
Yes.
that's Amber, I think that gives her even though, but what's weird is actually I think it hurts her to a lot of people because it's Dewey who she kills, but
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
and I respect them. I honestly do
Mhm.
respect those people, and I get it. I get Dewey's a big character, and that's even
Yeah.
something we haven't talked about. We could throw it in there. I get
Mhm.
it. I understand it's a big deal, but like he is but at the same time, like it's weird because you're using the exact same words. He is a big character she killed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like that does
Mhm.
give her a lot because she took him out. And I
True.
honestly, again, in terms of how she did it, I don't know what people. This is not like an attack on people who don't like it. This
Yeah.
is I actually want to understand. Is it because like she lifts him up? They don't like the size because she catches him off guard. I think all that stuff makes perfect sense. I think what
Mhm.
I've seen is like when she's bringing the knives in, she like raises him up. But also you have to think if she has real knives and she's stabbing him and she's moving the knives up, wouldn't he move up with the like he would do that to himself so that he doesn't get ripped up? So like, does the size really matter? Like, I don't actually
Yeah.
know. I don't know what people are mad at. I know she's much taller. I
Right.
get Ghostface is
Right.
taller than Dewey. It makes no sense. But they've
Mhm.
never made sense.
True.
They've
That's not
ne-
new. That's not
so
new. You're
yeah.
right.
So if we're and that's what I've always told people. I have no problem getting mad at that. But I hope you're gonna get mad at Jill and Charlie.
Right.
Roman actually is pretty tall, so like I'll
Yeah.
forgive that. But even like well, Stu's tall, but
Yep.
Billy, like I don't know. I really don't know. I think you'd have to be consistent and get mad at
Right.
is Mrs. Loomis able to pick up Randy and throw him in a maybe,
Maybe.
probably, but
I
I
mean,
don't know.
caught him off guard too, though.
Right,
So
caught
you
him
know
off guard.
that helps when you're
Right.
not expecting it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think with I guess for me and again with Amber and Dewey, I mean, look, I've never stabbed anyone from throwing the sternum.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
so
can't speak from experience.
I can't say that it's right. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But I'm just thinking to myself, in my mind anyway, to the way Stu described it, which by the way, I have to throw it in there, she kills him exactly. She does it exactly like Stu said in the fountain scene in Scream 1, where you gut him and go up.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, just had to throw it in there. But so I guess for me though, when she's hits, stabs him in the gut, in the stomach, whatever you want to call it, and she's slowly moving the knife up. I'm like, in my mind, that has to take a lot of strength. I don't know. I just
Okay.
to me,
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know. I haven't done it. Oh gosh, and I hope I never have to. But it just seems to me, Alex, when she's doing this and she's grinding, going all the way up, and his guts are falling out, organs are falling on the floor. I'm like, how do you? Is she strong enough to do this? I don't know, man. I'm just thinking of like that. And again, people are gonna say, "Oh, you're being sexist." No, I'm not.
It's just,
I'm not.
it's just she's small, she's tiny.
Right.
They even make it known, like her signature thing, and this is why I believe it is her. By the way,
Okay.
is that she has the two hands. She always uses the two hands to push it, and she does it in the hospital. So they even make it a point to distinguish between them that she's not strong, that she needs the help of her other hand.
Other hand, yes.
So
That's true.
I would understand that. Yeah, that's such a contrast. All of a sudden, she has such a moment of strength. All of a sudden,
right?
I don't know how strong.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're moving a knife up, you're not even using the sharp end. So yeah, it would take a lot of strength upwards. Yet again, she took bullets to the chest. So I don't really know how strong she is.
Oh wow, that's true too, man.
She also took Chad, hit her in the head with like a bust, and she got right back up. I think that would knock out anybody, but male or female,
That's a good point.
But again, it's a thing where all of these movies are like, they really are.
Yeah.
I mean, like Sydney kicks Charlie down the stairs. You know what I mean? Like, and you just get, I mean, these characters. Yeah, characters can just get back up from these things. So
they can.
I think it's because it's Dewey. It's because this is like the moment. Just like, I mean, and I never want Sydney to die, but if her or Gail were to go, like those are the scenes you need. Because they're never perfect. None of them are perfect, right? Because you can always pick something, but you have to get as perfect as you can with those specific three, or you're going to hear the wrath of fans.
Yep.
And I think they actually, for the most part, maybe besides moving him up, did about as good as you. He got distracted. She had a bulletproof vest, and we've seen that before, so like that's believable. She never beat him in a hand-to-hand, like when he was fully realizing she was in front of him. She never beat him. So she only won because he got distracted. Like all of that was, I think, as good. The only thing was, again, as we've talked about too, him going to the elevator and coming back. That was kind of dumb on a Dewey angle, but not on a Amber angle.
No,
that wasn't anything she could have done. So I think they did as good as they could have done, besides the strength comparison. But then you go back to all the other movies.
I mean, it's true, man. And again, I wish they just had not had her do that particular move. That's all. And I guess the whole I guess again, because even the fountain scene in Scream 1, the whole debate was you had the strength that it takes to do that. Remember, that was the whole thing at the fountain, and like Tatum was like or a man's mentality, and all that. And so they made such a point in Scream 1 to emphasize the strength it takes to do that.
And it worked. And I think Scream 1 worked the best because Stu was, tall. Billy, I think you can believe he's like a strong, he's not the tallest, but he seems like a well-built person. But and then Mickey is a well-built person too.
He is.
And Mrs. Loomis starts to get doubt. Then Roman goes back, and then Jill and Charlie just goes complete, off the left field.
Jill and Charlie are the smallest people for sure. They're and again, I don't think Jill killed very many people. I think Charlie was the one that did most all of it. But at the same time, you're right, and it's a valid argument. But there is an element of disbelief our belief we have to disband, because look, it's a movie, all right? We're not watching a documentary where we're like analyzing every single factual element. I mean, it's a film. This is an imaginary world that we're entering in. We're not entering into our world. They're not coming into our town and our city, and this is happening. No, we're going to their world, right? So I've always said that for Wes's movies and any movie, Radio Silence, to be fair to them, and this is their, their reality, not our reality. So their reality can have rules that bend where ours don't, right? In their world, maybe you can have a little 100-pound, 5'2" girl with the strength to, gut someone.
I mean, Sydney is not, Neve Campbell's not very tall or big in the slightest, and look at who she's dealt with in her entire Scream career as Sydney. Yeah, you're right. You're playing now. They can't break their own rules, but they can, like you said, they have their own rules that are factually different from ours, and as long as they are playing by the rules they've established, then it's fine.
Right.
And I think that I really do. I think that they did it as it's no less believable than I think any of it's just because, and I'm not saying that's wrong, like you're wrong to think that. I'm just saying it's because it's Dewey that people have, which is fine.
Agreed. Yeah, I think you're right. I think if that had been a random,
Yeah, if
if
that
that
was
had
Liv,
been
nobody would
Liv,
care.
yeah,
Yeah.
they'd be like, oh gosh, they may have. I don't think there would have been much conversation about it at all. And
No.
so, but I do want to go on record here because people may be saying, wait a minute, Steven, you're waning on your opinion
Oh,
here,
yeah.
and it's not.
This is just pretending like it was Amber.
Yeah, this is pretending like it's Amber. My feelings are all the same. I still think it was Stu. But to be fair, to go, I'm fine to pause all that and really think about this with you in terms of that being Amber. And again, it is in line with the history of what we've seen, especially in 4. I think especially more than any of them. But at the same time, man, at least they made her a bat, crazy. You know what I'm saying?
She's nuts. And I mean, maybe these people, I mean, like adrenaline exists. Like you do have, I mean, you do have, you can become, and I think Richie, anytime it was Richie, I think it would be very believable because he's a bigger, built together guy. So yeah, I mean, yes, it is a little unbelievable, but I don't know, you're in the I mean, she just got shot. So maybe she does have an insane amount of adrenaline pumping through. You know what I mean?
That's
now
true.
How she gets back and does the party and kills the police. Like that's all other stuff. But scene for scene, I really don't believe it's all that unbelievable.
Right. The only thing I would change in this scenario, if Stu's not there, I wish they would have written it where Richie had killed Dewey, because swap them out, and I guarantee you. Because Tara was Tara could have just as easily been visiting, going with Sam. So I'm going to go with you, because she's always protective over Tara. Every time you see Amber over with Tara. So I think if we had flipped that, and that would have been Richie is revealing, there would be like almost zero discussion. There may be discussion, but it wouldn't be about this. It may be something else. But if that solves the problem, Alex, make Richie the killer of him, and let Amber get out with Tara, with Sam. Let them go, and then it's solved. This whole issue. We're not talking about strength, size, height, none of that. We're like, okay, that's believable.
No, I agree. You have to switch, because then they go, and then you have like the time difference, because then they go like straight to the party, which wouldn't make sense for Richie to be there instead of Amber. True. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that does very easily. Nobody had, like I said, anytime Richie was the killer here, which in my belief was not actually all that often, but
I don't either.
You can believe he would do those kind of things. Yeah. Definitely. So I mean, I agree. I think Amber is kind of a mid tier, and then again, that's kind of controversial. I put Mickey on my list like very, very low compared to a lot of others, and that's totally cool. Okay. I just don't like the idea of like a serial killer website that he was found on. That's the only thing that drops him massively in my book. It's just in terms of motive or how he was involved, it's, in my opinion, one of, if not the lamest. But
well, let me ask you, Alex, that's similar to the motive though for Richie and Amber. It's very similar. So do you feel that same way about them?
And so how did that work though? Was Amber already in the house when she found him on the website, or did she move after?
I don't know. I know
because Mickey was literally, so what they're implying is Mickey is literally a serial killer. Like, he already is one. He's on this website, and then she just finds him and brings him in, and then he has to like create this fake persona. Whereas Amber, I'm not actually sure. See, another thing actually with Amber that they could have done a little bit better is, what is like her history? What are any of these people's history? Have they lived there the whole time? How long is Amber known? Now, well, I guess because they did do the babysitting thing. So we know what, like, was it Chad and Mindy were the other two?
Chad, Mindy, and Wes.
So like they've been there ideally for a very long time. But like Liv, we don't know. Amber, and they're weren't they explaining it to Amber? Wasn't Amber in the room with so maybe Amber wasn't around all that, or maybe she was. I don't actually know.
I don't know for sure.
That's kind of a problem, because you could have, because I think that's what the script would have helped a little bit, because these two had a relationship. And that would have helped. But I also just think, in terms of a movie, if you just tell me how long Amber's been around, it just helps the friendship dynamic. Because another problem people had with this movie, I'll ask you this, is that nobody trusted each other. Remember, like, they were all accusing each other, but they're also supposed to be all like best friends. You know what I mean? So like, I think there was that conversation where it's like they're so quick to turn on each other, but they're supposed to be so close. But it maybe would have helped to know how long they knew each other.
Absolutely. I mean, and you know what's interesting, because if you look at Scream One, and again, I know it's so hard because Scream One was like a masterpiece. It's like it's untouchable.
Yeah,
But we don't know a lot of the history about those guys either. But it
true.
didn't matter because it was so well written. I
Yeah,
mean, when they're at the fountain scene and they're kind of throwing shade a
yeah,
little bit. Well, maybe you're the killer, and Randy's like, well, she dumped you for Steve. Maybe
yeah.
you killed her. I think they're trying to emulate that in Five, that
Sure.
feeling, but
Yeah, they
I
were.
don't think I don't think it hit. It didn't
No,
hit like
no.
one.
Is the
Be-
yeah the characters are just kind of different, and they're all even in one, like they are definitely mysterious, and you don't know too
Right.
much, but you also do have a sense that maybe they have been friends for a while. You do know
Yes.
a little of the history of Stu and Billy, how long, and
Hmm.
Billy and Sydney, so you know a
Yeah.
little.
A little
Yeah,
bit.
I agree with that. I mean, that was definitely trying to replicate it, but I just feel like they didn't. I don't know anything about Liv. I know nothing
Hmm.
about her. You know what I mean? So
No.
like it's harder to
And
pull
Amber
that
either.
scene.
Like you say,
Amber
Amber
either.
either.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. Like, so they were like in high school, but like some of them didn't look like they should have belonged in high school. And obviously, you had Vince kind of come in too, and you had that introduced. Yeah, I just don't think there was and I'm not saying you needed to have done that in the beginning of the movie, but
Hmm.
throughout the entire movie, we still don't learn anything about these people.
Right.
You
No,
know,
that's true.
even like Chad, where did that bruise? Are we gonna learn where that bruise came from?
They
Was it
never
really
said.
football? Yeah,
Yeah, I know. And then if you notice, whenever he reaches over and touches his arm and he lets go where the bruise is, it's almost exactly in a hand pattern. Did you notice that?
yeah,
Like almost fingertips are on the in the bruising pattern. So it's like, well, again, I know it's a red herring out this,
yeah.
or trying to make us think, someone's grabbing his arm,
Right.
but they never explain it. I mean, at this point, I guess it's football. I mean, like but it's like,
Yeah,
really? I
yeah.
don't know, man. It's yeah. So there was just some of the writing. I have to say, my biggest issue with the movie, excuse me, has been more around the writing on some of the writing elements of it. Right. I think that it was. I think I still love the movie. I think it was great. It was a very good movie. Very proud of what Radio Silence did in honoring Wes. I thought they did a great job.
Yeah.
But some of the characters, like, some of the writing is just a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to, if it's stiff or just not, I don't know what the word is, Alex. It's just not quite developed or something. And
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about it here. I mean, just even how they interact with one another compared to, and again, I know
I
people keep saying you can't compare it to the first one, but I mean, we have to. It's there. I mean, and they were paying homage to the first movie.
yeah.
So I don't expect it to be like, oh wow, that's exactly like one. They pulled it off. No, no, no. But I still think it could have been better in some of those elements. I agree
Yeah.
with you on that, and I think it would have helped.
Yeah.
Also, and here's another thing, Alex. In defense of the movie, I will throw this out, just devil's advocate. They did cut 33 minutes out of the film.
True. Yeah, there was a lot cut out.
A lot. We don't know. Maybe there were scenes filmed where they were hanging out, and there was a lot more of that bantering together, where you start to feel
Well,
like
and
these are
because a
real
lot of them are
friends.
in the sheriff's station too, so that could have
That's right.
that even 2 minutes of dialogue could be a lot, could
A
add a
lot.
lot to them.
It sure
Yeah.
could. It could show you depth that maybe they have with each other.
Yep.
Like, oh, these people really care about each other. Like they're joking around, like, but they actually really care about each other. But we didn't really get that. It was just
Yeah.
kind of talking to each other and then pointing fingers and then death.
Yep. So the
Essentially.
Wes thing was underdeveloped with Wes and Tara, and that could
Oh,
have been something. And I
it
mean,
could
and I
have.
think it was there enough, but you
Mhm.
kill Wes immediately after that, so
Yes.
you don't let that impact the movie at all. Amber and Tara definitely were still there. They could have been more, but they
Mhm.
definitely had the relationship. But nobody else, even Mindy and Chad, were they brother sister like at times. I wouldn't say the whole time though.
Right. No.
You know.
Agreed. And I guess with Tara and Amber, because the original script got so gutted, they changed it now. So I guess if we're talking about what is canon for the future, of course, it doesn't really matter because Amber's dead. But looking back, I should say, right? Actually, as far as canon goes, it seems to me like they were just friends at this.
Yeah. Yeah. There
Because
was
it
no
didn't make it into the
relationship.
movie,
Nope.
right? And
Yeah, you can't consider it. I don't think.
I don't think so either. So we have to say Amber and Tara were just friends. And like I say, Wes was interested in Tara. They made that very clear, and so I think that was, they just changed their mind in the writing, and that I'm fine with that. But I just wanted to kind of go on record and say, because there's still a lot of people say, well, they were actually dating. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I
That didn't
believe that
happen.
going. I mean, I said that in videos going in, and people were like, "How do you know that?" And I was like, "Well, I just think it's even the marketing. It was kind of obvious, but in the movie, the
Yeah.
only thing you have is didn't Wes say something like, "Oh, so what if you can't have her? Nobody can." Right? That was the
Yes,
line.
he
That's the
did say that.
only thing, but that does not mean that it could mean they're on break, which maybe they were dating, but they're broken up. They're absolutely not dating each other during the movie in canon. In the script, they were.
In the script, they were. That's right. But not in the movie. So we have to go. Oh, so many layers to peel back. But yeah,
and to like what you said too, like to give this movie, because I know you guys on Lethal Collective talked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm not gonna do like review here, but I personally hated it, and that's all. I absolutely despise. But also if we're comparing it to Scream, like horror movies, some people just don't have very high expectation, which is fine. Like they go in expecting certain things. I would say character development and what they were trying to pull off for Scream is pretty high tier for any other normal horror movie. Most horror movies don't have development of any kind.
No,
you know what I mean? Now that's because the other Scream movies did. So I mean, they've built up a legacy of this is just kind of not elevated, but there's just more to this. It's smarter than it's supposed to be smarter than, you know what I mean? Yeah, so like if we're comparing this to Texas Chainsaw, these characters were master class characters. You know, it's incredible. But if we're comparing it to Scream, some were. And all we're doing, by the way, is just kind of like picking. Like we just want the best for it.
Absolutely, that's it, man. Yeah, that's all we want. We're all we want to see. And for Scream 6, I'm really hoping that this will continue to grow. And we'll, we've got Chad and Mindy and Tara and Sam, and then now they're talking to Nev. Nev's been contacted. We'll see how that goes. I think she'll be back as long as I think so. And so I'm glad for that. And of course, that again helps my Stu theory, because as long as Sydney's involved, there's always a motive there. So like, why does it make sense to bring Stu back? Well, Sidney Prescott's alive. Hello. Then there's the reason, right? So anyway, I am hoping though we'll see more of that. And Chad and Mindy are not gonna. I mean, I figure one of them is gonna die in 6, right? At least one of them is not gonna make it. And then Sam and Tara, that's a whole other discussion we can have another day. I've got a lot of ideas. I know you do too. So that would be a fun discussion we could have sometime. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. I mean, here's the thing for 6, and I know it won't happen, but I'm hoping and I wish that they would add a third writer to the team named Kevin Williamson and bring him out of being a consultant on the film and let him actually sit down at the table with Guy and James and have a 3-headed writing team for this movie. Because I think if Kevin had been more involved with some of these things we're talking about, I think if he had his hand directly in the pot, that would have fixed a lot of what we've been talking about tonight. I really do.
Yep, totally.
Some
sort of script doctor, just something to kind of. I mean, I'm sure some people maybe took a look at it, but these are not because like you said, the movie's not bad. This movie doesn't have like it's absolutely horrible at this spot or this. Not even that. No, not even that. It's got issues, but I think they're not that hard. Even the first script, I think, addresses a lot of them. Not all of them. There's still obviously the big some bigger stuff, but I have hopes for and I hope they listen. And I mean, they say they do. This is their chance. You know what I mean? But I don't want to ever put too many eggs in one basket or believe all these Hollywood people. But
I know.
I mean, if they really do say that, and I want to believe them, I really do. Now's the time. Because if they don't do it now, then they aren't really listening. They just aren't.
That's true.
They're saying it.
They're saying it. Lip service, and I think we'll find out in 6. It will be I've said it before. I think 6 is going to be the make or break movie from Radio Silence. I think this is the one that's going to either propel them into 7, and we're all like, oh my gosh, it's an amazing movie, and we're going to be, just bragging and talking about it for months and years, or it's going to be one where we say, man, what could have been? What could have been? They had a chance.
It really stops the franchise then. Or not necessarily it doesn't prevent 7 necessarily, but we're giving them a lot of benefits of the doubt now. But then if you do 2 in a row going to the final one, you just lose so much of that steam. It starts to become like with Star Wars, where you can't say it now. Was it worth making this? I mean, you could, but to make a real strong argument, was it worth bringing it back? Should you have ended it at 3? Should you have ended it at 4? It's harder to make it now, but after 6. 2 movies into a trilogy, if it's if it sucks, then you're like, you know what, this trilogy probably shouldn't have happened, and that's when you'll be able to make those kind of statements.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's crucial, man. This is big. This is really big, and I think that now that the weight on their shoulders of being the first people to take the mantle from Wes Craven, rest in peace, and what tremendous pressure that had to have been to step into his shoes and with his franchise. I think that now they've done that. They've really were careful about you know, making sure that they were dedicating this to Wes every step of the way, and they did amazing things. And hats off to them for all the little things they
Yeah.
did.
I give them a lot of credit for it because I think
Yeah,
this was a hard thing to do. And
had to
maybe
be.
it shouldn't have happened, but I mean, they did it. And I think they did really good considering trying to
Mhm.
replicate him. That's pretty hard, you know?
Very hard, man. And there, you know, there were certain scenes that just screamed out Wes to me. You know, when you would see him, like, the scene with Kevin, with Wes in the kitchen, with all the doors opening
Oh, yeah.
and you're just waiting for it and there's
Yeah.
nothing there. That's like, that was so Wes Craven 101. That's like his, that's an absolute tribute to Wes. And I've had people that have watched it with me that they were like completely saw it. They're like, oh yeah, that is completely like, they are paying respects to Wes and how they frame these shots and how they're filming it. It was great, and I love that scene. Some people have complained about that it goes on for too long. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you crazy? What are you talking about?
It's
This
the
is
most
great.
different kind of thing in all of the kills, I
Yeah,
think.
it is. It's like the one time they use that element in
Yeah.
the movie, really.
Yeah.
And so I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I'm like, oh man, there's Wes right there. That's how he would have done this, you know, most likely. And anyway. So I guess my point is, you're right. I mean, now that it's been done, it's now that weight has been moved off their shoulders. It's out there. People loved it. So now they can come back and say, all right, now we're gonna radio silence it up a little bit more. We're
Yeah.
gonna turn the volume up more into our style more,
Yeah.
even more than we did the first time. And it's gonna be the proofs in the pudding. This is the one. I'm staying optimistic though, Alex. I think you are too. I'm
Oh,
going
yeah.
into this high hopes, high expectations, and
Yeah.
I will
I
let
will
them
not
be.
lower them.
I will not lower them unless they destroy them. But you know, other than that, I'm going in high
We
and
got to. I mean,
yeah,
we're the life.
abs-
We've talked about it before. We're the lifeblood of it, and
that's right.
and not saying you have to make us happy, and doing that,
Hmm.
translates to everybody else. But
Yes,
I think first and foremost, specifically with, like I said, in terms of should you make these movies, the
yep,
first answer should be for the fans. You should not be
absolutely.
making this trilogy should not have been made for money, which I mean, but here's the thing, it was.
Well,
It
of
was
course,
made for money. And,
yes,
and because that's the way everything is. It's hard to, you can't
everything.
really, I'm not saying you have to hold it against them, but that's just the way
Right.
it is. But it should be for the fans. It shouldn't be, well, let's try and milk Ghostface. Let's bring it
Yes.
back so we can have a game and a TV show. And again, these are things that
Mhm.
will happen. Yeah, but they
Yes,
should happen just because you did it for us. And
that's
and
right.
and, and hopefully and I think to a good extent they did it with 5. I really do.
Yeah, I think so. Now, I have to say, this is, I thought of it earlier when we were talking about Amber and Dewey, and then I kind of forgot about it, and then I was remembered again. One thing is, and I know you probably know this better than I do, but I've heard a lot of talk about like it was one of the Call of Duty games
Yes, I would. Yeah, yeah. It was
with
a
this,
finishing move.
the
Yeah,
finishing move.
I don't
Okay,
like that.
I hate this, Alex. Let me tell you something. I did not know that until
Me,
after I saw the movie.
same.
So like when I watched it during the movie, I'm like, oh wow, that's really brutal, and they're like really making it clear Dewey's dead.
Yeah,
But when I found out later that move was in the game first, like if the game had done it after the movie came out, I mean, that's awesome. Look, they're replicating
yeah,
Amber or Stu in my case.
yeah.
But when I found out that it was done, the game came out first, and then the movie's doing the same finishing move, I my respect level for that came down several
I did.
notches.
I loved it in the moment. I
Me
loved
too.
the lingering shot when
Absolutely.
Ghostface just standing there. Like it's so cool.
It
But yeah,
is.
I it and but you know what though? Like that kind of stuff happened with Fortnite and all this stuff. Like it
Mhm.
just exists now.
Yeah.
And it's not letting it off the hook. Trust me. But we've never had that with Scream in the past.
No,
So this is like the
never.
first time. I definitely do think it lowers it for me 100%. But I do understand. I don't like it, but I
Yeah.
understand. Like it's the era we're in. I guarantee you that I don't know if the same thing will happen for 6, but
I
they're
hope
gonna do
not.
something with 6 in the same. I'm surprised they didn't bring Ghostface to Fortnite, to be honest. But yeah,
Right.
I agree with you. It's just the thing it is. And you know what though? It paid off, like we said. The trailer I think didn't work. I don't think the Call of Duty thing worked, but TikTok, I think that Sarah,
Oh,
that
that was cool.
worked.
Yeah.
Twitter and Discord,
Mhm.
they did really good at. So I think they were, I think, probably 60-70%
Oh
really
yeah.
really on it.
100%.
Again, it's just mistakes and you fix them hopefully the next time around.
Absolutely, man. And like I say, there will never be a time because look, we're all human, right? Everyone making these movies are human too. So
Yeah.
there's never a time where you and I are going to sit here and say, man, now Scream 1, we could probably get really close, honestly, probably could, to saying this is a perfect movie in every area. Every area was 100. And again, Scream 1, I think it's darn close. All right, that's about as close to I've ever seen to being able to say that. But those are rare. That's a very rare thing, you know?
It births a franchise the last 25 years. You know what I mean?
That's
So you
how
can't do
perfect
that.
it
You
was.
can't do that every time.
No, no, you can't. And the Scream 1 had been less of a movie as far as the result, you know, the finishing product of it. It would not have been a
We
sequel.
wouldn't
There
be
would have
here.
been,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be here. Right. We'd be talking about something else. Halloween Ends or something else, you know.
Oh my
But
God. I'm grateful I'm talking about Scream
me
besides
too.
some of the other stuff. All right. So, well, I want to thank you, Steven, so much. And again, for anybody, I don't know how many people will make it to the end, but hopefully some. Make sure you guys check out his channel. It'll be in the description. He's an amazing, as you can tell, an amazing guy, really nice, really passionate. He covers Scream more than I do. I've kind of taken it back a little bit with the kind of the lull, but I'll be back once it gets to Scream 6-9. But Steven, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Alex. This was such a joy, man. Anytime, just let me know. I'm here. This is
Yeah,
great.
and like I said, I'm gonna try to we'll try to bring everybody back. I mean, now Steven, you're part of the. You want to talk really briefly about the Lethal Collective in case people don't know?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I'm part of a group that we call ourselves the Lethal Collective. It's myself, Killjoy Jake, Fate Decided, and the Night Watch Zone. And we have a channel on YouTube, our own channel called the Lethal Collective. If you go to the search engine and just put in Lethal Collective, it'll come right up. And we have we meet twice a week. Goodness, can't talk. For live streams, we have a live stream on Fridays and Mondays at 5 p.m. Central, that's 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we have live streams where we talk about horror movies, general horror talk, really, whatever's on our mind on Fridays. And then we have Monday is a Q&A where you can come in and you as a person involved who's watching and hopefully subscribing and enjoying the conversation, you get to dictate what we talk about. We answer your questions live in the live stream. And then we also post videos throughout the week. We try to post one every day. So anyway, if you like horror talk, which if you're watching still after almost an hour, I know you do.
They're in.
They're here. Then come over and join us over the Lethal Collective. I think you'll get a kick out of it. We have a good time, and I'd love for you to be a part of the party over there. It'd be great.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've said it before to you. I'll say it again. It's an amazing idea. I like the idea. I want to try and do my own thing with it for certain games and stuff like that. Because I really do like it. So. Well, thank you to him. Again, all this stuff is going to be in the description if you guys want to check it out. I will try to get, everybody back for future live streams and stuff. But in the meantime, we have these collaborations. Steven on Craven Something Scary has got a ton of videos as well. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you all on the next video.